So this battle is not part of my normal series that I have going on presently, but this battle is more to basically look at how to beat giants and how regenerating sacred hell-blessed giants fall off late game, or even mid game for that matter, and also a little bit on how to make communions work. So in front of us we have a very expensive Niflheim army composed half of these Jotun warriors, which some of them are experienced, and they have above average stats, not very good protection, but they have a javelin, which is it's strong, it hits hard. They actually have two of them. And they have an axe attack, which hits somewhat often, and it does a lot of damage. Their protection is not very good, their HP is meh, and they have susceptibility to shock, because all Jotunheim units have that trait. His other main frontline unit are these Nifl Giants, his Sacreds. These things have slightly better stats than the Javelin Men. They still hit very hard, but their protection is much worse, because they have ice protection, and this province is quite warm, as you can see from the green grass. They also have cold power, so their HP strength is being nerfed because this province is warm. He's got a goad over here, a level 2 priest, scripted to cast bless because all these units are sacred, so he's going to bless all of them and give them his regeneration bless. He also has a handful? Well, I guess he only has one. He has one old woman in the back with a bunch of death gems. I'm not sure what she's scripted to cast. But anyway, this is attacking into an Urmorian province. So Urmor up here has a big line of Hestati, which are pretty decent infantry. You can see right away the stats are already comparable or better than what Niflheim's units are using. And that's not because these guys are buffed or particularly experienced. They have a bit of experience, but the default guys, even their defense is better. Their protection is as good as the Niflheim Sacreds, which is sad, but they don't hit very hard. Their damage is just enough to get over the base protection, but remember, piercing does ignore 20% of protection. So considering the giants have about 10s, they're going to ignore 1. So these guys will hit for about 6 damage, which is pretty good. And they've got a standard bear here giving them +1 morale. So their morale is super high. 18, not very likely to rout. And then we've got some stuff here in the back. We have the Centurion leading some province defense, and then we have a big secondary army being led by his prophet, Synesis, who's wearing the Helmet of Heroes, giving his men more morale. And you can see this is the average morale of their Hestati, 19, which is incredibly high. And he's also wearing the Shroud of the Battle Saint, so he is automatically blessed at the start of battle, which is pointless because this is his prophet. But maybe this got put on by accident, and he didn't mean to put that on. So he's got a really great leader. And then he's got this line of mages that I'll get to, and he's got this line of basically anti-giant crisis gladiators who aren't really good at anything except killing giants. So as for the mages, we have a handful of magus units, which are basically communion slaves that can also be masters if you want to do earth or fire magic. They're pretty good at that. And then we just have a bunch of augurs who are really good astral batteries, who also have fire magic. There's also a animist here who is holding this crystal matrix item, which automatically makes him a communion master at the start of battle. So he has the little communion master trait. He's also carrying a thistle mace, giving him +1 nature magic. So his nature is nature 3, and he's holding a single gem. I have to assume he's going to cast some big nature spell, maybe Howl or Relief or something like that. Just a bunch of these augurs. He does have another Centurion back here who's wearing the same gear as the other one. So yes, maybe that was a mistake to profit that guy, or it was on accident. So just initially, even though it may look like Ermor has a lot more troops, and they do numerically, these things are extremely expensive. One of these costs, I think, 10 Ermorian Hastati, so for every 1 square of these, you're going to build 3 and then a third of another square of Ermorian troops. So, in terms of gold for gold, Niflheim has actually brought a quite comparable army, even though it may not initially look that way on the surface. Where Ermor really stands out is he has a lot more mages. A lot more mages. Niflheim only has a single mage, and I don't really even know what her plan is. She's only a Death 1 mage. But let's see what happens. So she casted... Oh, there was another one. I knew there was another one hiding in there. So they both cast Astral Shield. This guy is just blessing the Jarls, and you can see this is what they're... Oh, I guess he didn't do it yet. Oh my god, so they actually made contact with the enemy without getting blessed. Embarrassing. But as for what the enemy's casting... So this guy is a Communion Master. This guy's a Master. I guess all these augurs are slaves. Yeah, they're all slaves. They're all slaves. Oh no, this guy's these two are masters. And he's a master, of course, and there's some other masters over here. Oh, this one actually has gems. He's actually holding a few gems. He's a master, and he's a master. So there's a lot of slaves, a lot of masters. I don't care to count them up, but I'm pretty sure there's 8 slaves, and the rest are masters. So that's probably like 10, 15 masters. So that means that these guys are getting their magic paths buffed by +3. It's not reflected. It's not reflected in their numbers, but it is the case. He is a Fire 4, Earth 5, Astral 4 mage. And so, since this guy casts Summon Earth Power, personal level spells, like spells that have a range of caster to them, are going to affect the caster only, normally, unless you're in a communion, in which case they will affect all of your slaves too. So you can see they cast Summon Earth Power, which gives Reinvigoration 2, and now all the slaves also have Reinvigoration 2. Or 4. So right off the bat, Ermor is preparing a massive amount of magic to come down, and you can see he's already casting mid-late game spells like Soul Slay with these troops. These augur masters, or these augurs who are communion masters, and Soul Slay is a really strong anti-single target spell. If we just scroll down here to find the giants, here they are. So which one of these has been targeted by a Soul Slay? Is that it? Augur hit him with a ranged attack Soul Slay in the head for 0 damage. Penetration roll rolled very poorly. So they only rolled a 2, because the way dice rolls work in Dominions 5 is you roll 2d6, and you add that to your original number, and if you get a 6, you roll again. Like, you keep the 6 and you roll again, and you -1 off the total. So if he rolled a 6, then he would add 6 onto this number, -1 from it, and then roll that again. And if you got a 6 on that die, he would go again. And he would actually, you can keep going. You can keep chaining 6s if you get lucky. But in this case, this was just a poor result. Like, he rolled a 2 and a 2, and his opponent rolled a 4 and a 3. Or maybe a 5 and a 2, whatever. I mean, still, he rolled higher. This is a statistically unlucky roll, but this is more average. So you can see, initially, it kind of seems on the surface that Soul Slay and stuff like this doesn't work. At least not very effectively, because more often than not, these Nifl giants are going to resist the roll. And that's true, they won't take any damage. But a Soul Slay, if it goes through, it's an instant kill. There's nothing else beyond this magic resistance roll. If they pass, they die. So, if one cast of Soul Slay doesn't work, then you just keep going. You just keep casting more Soul Slays. And you can see he's really getting good work out of his gifts from heaven. So here the Hastati are like hitting them for little bits of damage, and the Nephil Giant hits the Hastati and just kills him in one hit. And this is all cold aura damage, so we can ignore it. It doesn't really matter. Augur hit Nephil Giant with ranged attack Soul Slay for 996 points of damage because he rolled 2 6s, I guess. I don't know how I got this number. Maybe a 5 and a 6, and then he rolled a 1 or a 2, I guess, because you minus 1 off the total. I mean, anyway, he got that. And the Nephil Giant rolled a 3 and a 2, which is still almost average, but he failed to resist, so he's dead instantly. That's it. Even though these giants have 69 HP, and they finally got blessed, and they're shock resistant, fire resistant, they have magic weapons, and they're regenerating. So they're regenerating 10% of their wounds every combat interval. It doesn't really matter because they're taking 999 damage. Or they're getting gifts of heaven, and a giant rock is coming down from the sky that does 150 points of damage. So their 11 protection doesn't really save them. They get massively overkilled. And you can see the Nephil Sacred Line is crumpled pretty decisively, and most of the Urmorian army has not joined the battle. Granted, the front line is actually doing pretty well, all things considered. Urmor also casts Light of the Northern Star with one of those augurs that was carrying 2 astral pearls. So now all of his wizards are getting a further +1 astral bonus. Yes, this does affect the entire battlefield, but when your opponent is not fielding astral mages en masse, like Niflheim is not, like these mages are astral, yes, but who cares? There's only 2 of them. They're getting very little value out of this spell, whereas you're gaining tremendous because you have so many more. And humorously, Urmor has casted Flaming Arrows, which makes all missiles fired by the unit ablaze, which includes their javelins, because they're a ranged attack. So he is throwing flaming javelins at these ice giants, and it's actually not very effective because against the Sacreds, because they've got fire resistance. But another Gifts from Heaven comes down and just obliterates some more giants, and their morale fails. And you can see the augurs are going off script, just casting whatever they feel like. Paralyze, Blade Wind, Panic, Gifts from Heaven again? That seems very dangerous, dude. Where's that gonna go down? Ooh, take out some of your own boys like that. And these poor giants are just being hit with Paralyze over and over again, and they can't move or defend themselves, and then they get Soul Slayed. That guy didn't even escape off the battlefield. So, this was an extremely expensive army for Niflheim. The giants alone cost 140 gold. But he lost Agija too. He lost all the warriors, some of the Huskarls, some of these, which are just the Huskarls, both without spears. He didn't lose his goad, but it was a tremendous loss of life. And Urmor lost a lot of Hastati, but these things only cost 11 gold. So he lost just over 1,000 gold. And the Rotarius are, whatever, 80 each, and the Standards are 20 each, so, okay, whatever. These guys you normally get killed. It's alright. You can make more. You don't need a lot of them. Urmor lost about 1,000 gold, and Niflheim lost, well, let's do a quick calculation. Because I don't know what 140 times 24 is. It is 3,360. So just with his giants alone, Niflheim, or with his Sacred Giants alone, he's lost triple the amount that Urmor lost in this battle. And that is not including the 200 from this mage, and the extra 30 each one of these guys is costing. So that's an extra, every 3 is about 100 gold. So that's like 800, 900 gold down the drain. So he lost basically about 5,000 gold in this battle. Lost about 5,000 gold to about 1,000, which is just crazy, unbelievable value, and it really goes to show the extreme power that magic can have on the battlefield when these units that normally could hold the line against giants but not really kill them are supported with magic, especially by communions. These big single target entities, things that are really tanky and durable on their own, really crumple, especially giants. A good counter to what Ermor is using here would be to use mindless units, like statues or golems. Those would be very effective. Maybe not against Gifts of Heaven, because Gifts of Heaven is just a big rock coming down. That would still work, but Soul Slay and Mind Burn and those sorts of spells don't work on units that are mindless. So, anyway, that is the end of this discussion.